Welcome to our channel. Watch the video until the end. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel to support us.
The spaceship is getting closer and closer to Mars. It's the third flight the rocket has just completed, it's proof. However, not everything has gone as hoped by Elon Musk, the head of the aerospace company SpaceX. It's true that with this particularly ambitious flight, Starship was preparing to leave an indelible mark on history.
We are truly on the verge of understanding space.
In any case, this is the businessman's main goal. But what makes this flight so special after the numerous failures of Starship? There have been many advancements. It's worth noting, therefore, that this liftoff was highly anticipated. However, it seems that all the efforts made by SpaceX were not sufficient. The colonization of Mars no longer seems so certain. Is Elon Musk's project feasible? Can we live on Mars? This option is not necessarily unanimous. For many, the billionaire's obsession would be a symptom of his madness.
Can the Starship launcher truly colonize Mars?
With this third flight, Starship aimed to make history, but not everything went as planned for Elon Musk and his teams. First and foremost, it's important to understand the goals of this massive rocket. The colonization of Mars, indeed, is not the only mission planned for Starship. The launcher should be used, in particular, for future lunar missions as part of the Artemis program. It should also enable the consolidation of the Starlink constellation.
Furthermore, Starship can launch over 100 tons of payload into low Earth orbit, equivalent to 400 satellites per flight. It thus has the capability to replace the Falcon 9. However, the real advantage of the machine comes from being entirely reusable. The first stage, dubbed Super Heavy, is supposed to return to the launch pad on its own after liftoff. Its role is simple: to act as a booster to enable the liftoff of the second stage, powered by 33 Raptor engines. It contains 4 different tanks to provide thrust for liftoff and return to Earth. However, the weight of the rocket can be a true handicap. Being the largest machine in the world, it weighs about 5,000 tons once loaded, with a diameter of 9 meters for a total height of 121 meters. As for the second stage, it descends like a space shuttle almost horizontally. Subsequently, it should straighten up during the final phase of landing. However, SpaceX wants to make space access available to everyone, and surely, with the help of NASA, if all this is made possible. It's true that the United States Federal Agency for Civilian Space Programs strongly supports the project, investing enormously. In total, between 2014 and 2023, $3 billion would have been invested in the Starship. In 2023 alone, $2 billion is mentioned, astronomical figures that demonstrate the importance of the project. Despite a significant delay in development, SpaceX has completed the third flight of its immense Starship launcher. It was therefore expected that the company would turn the corner. It's true that NASA is impatient. It is therefore imperative to complete this first phase of suborbital testing in order to tackle the rest of the development. And the road is still long for SpaceX, especially since this latest flight is not a complete success. Next, the machine will have to demonstrate its ability to enter low Earth orbit and perform various maneuvers. Finally, we will have to move on to the most delicate phase of the project: the recovery of the Super Heavy booster and the spacecraft itself. This time, the giant was supposed to end its journey in the ocean. After about 65 minutes of flight, this modified trajectory was intended to allow the company to carry out 3 additional tests beyond its primary objectives, a great demonstration of Starship's versatility. But SpaceX was too ambitious. Is it really possible to conquer space? Nothing is less certain. Certainly, the world's largest rocket was chosen by the American Space Agency to design a landing on the Moon, but a further delay in the program is not to be ruled out. In addition to the Artemis missions, Elon Musk aims to transport a large number of people for long-term interplanetary missions. However, SpaceX had to navigate a regulatory maze to obtain approval from the Federal Aviation Administration, more commonly known as the FAA. Recently, the company announced that it had completed the 17 corrective measures requested by the FAA, which affect both the Super Heavy booster and the upper stage of the Starship. SpaceX does not intend to stop here. The company continues to push the boundaries of success, inspiring other players in the space field to accelerate their programs.
We are at the dawn of a new era in human space exploration.
As you may have certainly understood, this flight was of fundamental importance in the development of Starship. To improve the robustness, performance, and efficiency of this powerful spacecraft, numerous modifications and improvements have been made to the rocket.
Although some components have been removed and others reworked, the overall architecture of the launcher remains unchanged.
However, SpaceX remains committed to constantly improving the machine. In fact, ground installations are now much more powerful and resilient. The rest of the facilities have been reinforced again, while the equipment has been repeatedly tested after the 2 previous flights of the Starship.
This flight was particularly anticipated. The first ordnance, indeed, was destroyed following loss of control, while the second exploded in flight. Industry specialists even bet heavily on this new SpaceX mission, hoping for many more flights of the machine during the year. It's true that Starship is a rocket that carries hope and great ambitions. As many of you have surely followed, this third liftoff was broadcast live on SpaceX's account. It was 14:25 French time when the ship took off from the SpaceX space base in Boca Chica, at the far south of Texas. This time, the test flight ended with the loss of the ship as it returned to Earth. The American company is, however, pleased to have achieved new goals. Indeed, the 2 stages separated successfully a few minutes after liftoff. It was therefore assumed that the Super Heavy would gently fall back into the Gulf of Mexico. But this maneuver was not successfully completed. This did not prevent the ship from continuing on its course for over an hour, pushing well beyond the space frontier, reaching an altitude of 200 kilometers. Moreover, more than 3 million people were able to observe the spaceship lighting up with orange plasma under the heat caused by friction as it re-entered Earth's atmosphere. But the most important phase of this flight remains the fuel transfer, a crucial function because, to reach the Moon, Starship will need to refuel once in space. SpaceX therefore claims a development technique by iteration. It is based on successive tests chained together at a very rapid pace, regardless of their outcome. Each test allows the company to progress. What would SpaceX be without its leader? Elon Musk's long-term goal is simple: to build extraplanetary bases ensuring the survival of the human species. Is Elon Musk's project feasible? Making the human species multiplanetary is the dream of every businessman. His goal is to save it by establishing a colony on Mars. Can we truly live on the red planet? Certainly, it is the planet that most resembles Earth, but it is not hospitable to humanity. With an atmosphere composed of 96% CO2, Mars is unbreathable for humans. It would therefore be necessary to modify its geological and climatic aspects to make it habitable. Additionally, due to cosmic radiation, the risk for future astronauts to develop various forms of cancer would increase. However, NASA sets the maximum acceptable threshold at 3%. On the other hand, it represents sustainable energy, essential for our survival. Solar energy seems to be the most likely possibility, given Mars's proximity to the Sun. But it's not feasible to install solar panels. Martian dust would compromise their proper usage. Wind energy is also not an option because the atmosphere is 100 times thinner than Earth's. And for the moment, there are no plans to install nuclear power plants there. And what about our mental and physical health on Mars? Gravity is 3 times lower than that of Earth. Prolonged exposure to reduced gravity could impact bone density, muscle mass, the immune system, and mental well-being. For now, Earth remains the only habitable planet in the solar system. However, Elon Musk doesn't lose hope and intends to realize his dreams. But Starship is often at the center of many controversies. The launcher, in fact, would not meet some environmental standards. For instance, during its second test flight, the rocket literally exploded during flight. Very quickly, environmental NGOs rebelled against the unprecedented damage caused by the incident. But it hasn't stopped Elon Musk from moving forward with this highly contested project. Others believe Elon Musk is going insane. Released last September, the biography of the entrepreneur written by Walter Isaacson goes in this direction. It describes a complex individual, obsessed with space conquest, with brutal management methods and lacking empathy, afflicted with Asperger's syndrome, and subject to unpredictable emotional swings. But that's not all. It's said that Elon Musk is also a heavy drug user,
and a Wall Street Journal investigation also cites concern from Tesla and SpaceX executives regarding the billionaire's possible drug use.
These practices would influence his behavior and some of his decisions.
However, the businessman has categorically denied these accusations. SpaceX has just completed its third test flight, which once again ended in failure. But on paper, everything seemed perfect, and this liftoff was eagerly awaited.
But the world's most famous rocket disappeared just minutes before landing.
However, Elon Musk and SpaceX don't consider it a complete failure.
On the contrary, this flight is once again an opportunity to move forward. Can we truly imagine a colonization of Mars? What is the future of Starship? This is what we will find out in the coming months.